Oh, hello, I was just reading a book. Yes, a real book. But just because you can read real books doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to smash the reading part of your C1 Advanced exam. No, in order to do that, you need strategies. So, here are 4 fantastic smashing strategies to help you destroy your C1 Advanced reading exam. Let's talk. The first piece of advice to help you smash the reading part of your C1 Advanced Cambridge exam has to do with Part 5. In Part 5, you will be given one long text with 6 multiple choice questions. Often, the first thing that students will do is read the entire text in detail, and then they will read all of the questions in detail. But no, this is a terrible waste of your time, so don't do it. But Toby, I love reading and I want to read the text in detail. But that's stupid, because the questions are presented in the order in which the answers appear in the text. So, question 1 will usually be about paragraph 1, and question 2 will usually be about paragraph 2, and question 3 will usually be about... you get the idea. In fact, the questions themselves will often tell you exactly where the answer is located. Check out this example. The question is literally asking you about paragraph 1. So, what's the point in reading paragraph 6 before you answer this question about paragraph 1? There is no point. It's completely pointless. So instead, you should start by reading paragraph 1, and then answer question 1, and then read paragraph 2, and then answer question 2. Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious. And now, hopefully, it is to you too. The second piece of advice has to do with Part 6, and boy oh boy, this part is super tricky. You have 4 different texts about the same topic, and you have 4 questions to answer about the texts. And I know this sounds really easy, because you only have 4 short texts and 4 questions, so this part should be a doddle. Am I right? No, I'm not right. I'm completely wrong. This part is hard. And that's because each question requires an understanding of all of the texts. For instance, in this example, Part 6 presents 4 different reviews of a book by the philosopher Alain de Botton. And we are very intellectual, and we read philosophy. Yes, yes. And here is an example question. Which reviewer has a different view to reviewer C on the originality of de Botton's ideas? In order to answer this question, we need to understand what every reviewer thinks about the originality of de Botton's ideas. And then we need to identify what reviewer C's opinion is and which other reviewer has a similar opinion to reviewer C. That's a lot of information to be tracking down and keeping tabs on in your little brain. So, what are we going to do? We are going to use the power of the pencil. In order to answer this question, we are not going to read each review in depth, because we just do not have time, and our brains are too small to remember all of that information at once. So, we're not even going to try. Instead, we are going to scan reviewer C's review very, very quickly, and using the power of the pencil, we're going to underline everything we can find that reviewer C says related to the originality of de Botton's ideas. Then we are going to do the exact same thing for reviewer A, reviewer B, and reviewer D, underlining as we go. And now, all we need to do is compare the information we have underlined. That's it. That's the advice. Keep your reading focused. Don't make it too general. We're trying to answer questions here, not understand complex concepts for a university thesis. No. The next strategy is related to Part 7. Here we have a long text with 6 paragraphs missing. You have a selection of 7 paragraphs to put in the spaces, and yes, you are a genius and a mathematical prodigy, because this means that there is 1 paragraph that we don't need. Now, my advice here is actually quite different to the advice I gave you for parts 5 and 6. For parts 5 and 6, I told you to focus your attention very specifically on what you need to focus on to answer the questions. Unfortunately, this approach is not going to work for Part 7. If you only focus on the little pieces of text around the missing paragraphs and the missing paragraphs themselves, then you're probably not going to have enough information to get the answers correct. And that's because Part 7 focuses on both cohesion and coherence. Cohesion is about how some aspects of a text rely on other parts of the text to get their meaning. That sounds really confusing, but it's not. Think about words like that, it, him, them. These are words that mean nothing. In fact, it is their placement within a sentence or within a general text that gives them their meaning. Now, often students trying to tackle Part 7 will only focus on cohesion. They will look for these empty words like she, that, they, and try and see what they refer to within the broader text. But this is not enough for the C1 Advanced exam. This is not enough for you to deduce which paragraph is most apt for each space. Coherence, on the other hand, is about the logical progression of ideas, to what extent it makes sense to have certain ideas connected to each other. And in order for you to deduce which paragraph goes best with the coherence of the text, you need to be familiar with the entire text. So, contrary to Parts 5 and 6, ensure that you have a general understanding of the entire text before you start placing paragraphs willy-nilly in Part 7. Okay? Okay. Our final super special strategy to help you smash this C1 section relates to, you guessed it, Part 8. In Part 8, you will either have one long text split into 4 to 6 sections, or you will have 4 to 6 different texts discussing a similar topic. You will then be given 10 questions, and it is your job to state which text or which part of a text discusses a certain thing. So in this example, we have 5 different texts discussing starting a new career, and we have 10 questions which ask you to specify which consultant says each of these things. Now, again, what many students will do is waste time reading all of the texts first and then reading all of the questions. But again, we are only human. We have very small brains. I probably have the brain the size of a pea, protected by this massive skull. Ugh. This is a lot of information for us to keep in our heads at one time. And if you're trying to store all this information in your head at one time, you're probably going to fail, get very confused, stick a pencil up your nose, and then smash your head against the desk. And oh God, that's disgusting. So here is what I suggest. Instead of thinking of this activity as involving 5 texts, let's split it into 10 texts. 10 texts! Toby, that's a lot of texts! Yes, it is. And that's why they call me Toby 10 Texts. Because that's how many texts I've received all year. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to read half of Consultant A. Then you're going to quickly read all of the questions and see if you can answer any. If you can, use the power of the pencil, underline, and move on. If you can't, don't use the power of the pencil, don't answer, and move on. Then read the second half of Consultant A and do the same thing. Keep doing this until you've been able to answer all of the questions. This is all about trying to reduce the amount of information your brain has to process at any given time. If you give your brain too much information to process, then frankly, it doesn't matter how good your English is, you're gonna get lost. So basically, keep it manageable. And with that, we're finished. Those were 4 strategies to help you smash the reading section of your C1 Advanced Cambridge exam. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby, and this was Smash English.